Good afternoon. My name is Chris Davis with First Note Music Supply, a music store that provides supplies to beginning musicians. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what to do when you have to practice quietly. You know, practicing is something that every student has to do. You're not going to get better without regular practice, and so you got to make sure that happens. But not everybody always wants to listen to your practice. So that's the conundrum. How do you fix that? You're in a family, you're in a house, you're in an apartment. You need to tone it down a little bit. There are a few ways you can do that. The first and most obvious is to look at your space, okay? So maybe you move to a better space. When I played trumpet many years ago, my space was the basement because the sound just didn't carry as much. Maybe a garage will work. Maybe there's an outdoor shed you can use when the weather's not too cold. You know, find a space. You may need to switch your space up a little bit. In fact, in a lot of schools, sometimes in schools, there are practice rooms available to you before and after school if you're an older student and can have that transportation. So looking for the ideal space is the ideal solution. However, sometimes you have to deal the hand you're dealt, and you have a space you can work in. So the second thing I would look at is basic soundproofing. Now, this can be from very simple to very elaborate, and so I'm going to recommend the simple side. The easiest way to do this is just some blankets. You know, you can hang some blankets on the walls, all the way up to some acoustic paneling. Anything in the room that will help deaden the sound. You know, the more soft things in your room, pillows, blankets, and so forth, are going to tamp that sound down a little bit more. So we've addressed the space, right? And then the final thing you can do to practice, try and lower the volume of your practice, is get a mute. Now, mutes are made for two purposes. Usually when you're in band, a mute is meant to change the sound of your instrument. But in this case, we're talking about things that are called practice mutes. And so for brass instruments, trombones, trumpets, and the like, they make a practice mute, sticks right in the bell, has cork all the way around that essentially seals the bell but allows some air to come through. And this will allow you to practice without tons of sound coming out of the end of the horn. They come in various styles and various price points. Generally, the better the mute, the less resistance there is. It's easier to blow into the instrument, but it allows you to practice while making very little sound, and certainly makes it easy to practice things like fingering and phrasing and breathing and articulations and all the things that don't depend on the volume of air to work on. They do make mutes for saxophones, which work reasonably well. Woodwinds are a little trickier because, contrary to common belief, on a woodwind, you have many holes, and the sound actually comes out of those open holes on the body, not necessarily all out of the bell at the bottom. So there's no practical way to mute a flute or a clarinet, and not really a saxophone. So I don't have a good solution for muting a flute. A flute's not a very piercing instrument anyway. It's pretty easy. You can cover the instrument with a blanket, you know, kind of practice underneath, but truly, that doesn't work very well. Woodwinds, flute and clarinet especially, you're just going to have to ask for some understanding. But don't forget also the benefit of silent practice. You can work on fingerings, you can work on articulations, you can work on many things without making a sound on the instrument. And I think the bottom line is that it just relies on cooperation between you and the folks that you're sharing your space with. You know, practicing at 2 in the morning, probably convenient for you, probably not great for everybody else sleeping in the house. So, to recap, look at your space, see if you can choose a different space or perhaps modify the space you're in, and then look at practice mutes that are available for brass instruments, woodwind instruments, and some stringed instruments. Hey, while you're at it, take a look over at firstnotemusicsupply.com for accessories that'll make your life easier as a beginning musician, and we hope to see you more on this channel.